Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Storytime Friday. My name is Chris. I'm your host. And for those of you who are new to this podcast, I know we've only got a couple stories that I posted recently, but basically what we have on this show will be Real Talk Tuesday on Tuesday nights, posting every Tuesday at 5:15 Central Time, and every Friday at 5:15 Central Time, 5:15 at night. That is, we have Storytime Friday. Basically, what I do is for real talk, we do a random topic. I try my best not to do any politics or religion, but of course, with the current state of the government issues and stuff, state of the country, I've had a few episodes recently where we did talk a little bit about it, but then on Fridays, what I do is I actually either write a story for you guys and then tell it on the show, or I um, do like what I'm going to do today, which is basically a freestyle story, which basically I just hit record and I just work. It takes me a little bit beforehand, but I try to think up a story off the top of my head. Thank God for Chat GPT gives me, I'm able to like, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking. Give me some ideas on where to go with this. I love the little feature where you could actually like speak with your voice and have Chat GPT actually like communicate vocally back with you. And it's like, oh, this is cool, having an actual conversation with AI, and basically, like, that's a really good idea. I would recommend it. Oh, cool. All right. So, hey, you gotta love technology. But on that note, do as you guys heard in the previous episode, making some changes. Switched hosts, and basically because I was hearing this other one recommended, especially when it comes to like being able to like get advertisements on your show, basically monetize the show and try to move it forward. That's kind of what I've been planning to do for a while, to try to always move forward with the show. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but one feature I do like about the new host is the donation feature. I've already got that set up. It's actually better than what I had before on the previous one, where that one literally just showed up as a subscription, even though I don't have any special stuff to offer just yet. But that'll, got some ideas and stuff for when the podcast grows, and we're, got a steady stream of donations coming in to support the show, that I could actually like, that'll help with like not only just paying for the hosting costs, but also helping me to move things forward with like merch and goodie bags for people that are supporting the show. And right now what I could do is anybody who donates at least one of the episodes throughout the month, like probably at the beginning of the month, I could do a shout out to everybody that donated, call you guys out like, hey, these supporters want to little shout out, want to thank you guys, blah blah blah. It's like Jacob, Jonathan, Sarah, blah blah. Eventually, what I want to do is be able to send like free merch, like either whether it's a coffee mug or something, you know, as a thank you to people that donate or whatever. But all that's is just ideas right now. It's like obviously not in the position to do it because one, I don't have a lot of time to work with, and two, obviously need resources to be able to make shit happen. So anybody who wants to help with that, wants to, if you like the show, feel free and please do, if you're willing to, donate to the show. Go to blodgettshow.com/support. Anybody who is a creative writer, if you have stories that you'd like me to read on the show, then feel free to send those to me. Blodgett Show podcast at gmail.com. Basically, I'll review it, and make sure it's not like an inappropriate story. Hopefully decent lengths. It could be like hour and a half, or not hour and a half, like 45 minutes to an hour and a half long at least. It could be longer. I don't mind. I've actually done stories that are 3 hours, and as you guys have seen, I try not to. I try to keep them down, but sometimes it ends up getting away from me and ends up being a longer story. But Send your stories to blodgettshowpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on social media on Instagram at Blodgett Show Podcast. Personal Instagram is Teen Trucker Chris. TikTok Teen Trucker Chris. Facebook Teen Trucker Chris, as in Tennessee Trucker Chris. Blog at teentruckerchris.wordpress.com. Find me on X at CEAZ Freedom. And I think that's pretty much it. But, obviously, like, I'm trying to, like I said, trying to move forward, trying to make stuff happen, trying to, got the social media is actually pretty new. Only did that within the last couple of weeks, but trying to, I'm kind of, you get ideas from other podcasts you listen to. I'm like, I never thought about that. That sounds like a good idea. So on that note, thanks for being here. Hopefully you guys enjoy the stories. This is another freestyle story, and I'm gonna do my best. That's one of those, like, I am definitely a storyteller, and I am creative, but sometimes because of everything going on, it's just sometimes it's hard to stay focused, to actually like take the time and actually like sit and think, and all right, what am I gonna do? So anyway, on that note, let's get going. Thanks for hanging out with me. On with the show. This week's story is called The Chronicles of the Mysterious Time Ship. Yo, bro, over here, Jake said as he ran down the beach. Coming at you, Brad said as he threw the football way up in the air. As he caught it, he ended up having to dive and face planted directly in the sand. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. Oh. You alright, man? Yeah, I'm good. Hey, man. What the hell is that? Jake said, pointing out on the open water. They both looked out there. Jake kind of gulped. Is that a ship? Brad was like, yeah. Kind of looks like it, but it's really, really far out there. But that looks old. Hell yeah, it does, Jake said. What the fuck? Isn't there like a legend? Something that, like some kind of local legend? Because, I mean, Brad kind of like put his hands on his hips, staring at the ship. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. And, see, how does it go again? Huh. Jake closed the gap between them, coming over, kind of like punched him in the shoulder. I thought it was like, was it like one day a year that they said a ship shows up? Yeah, Jake said. But have you ever seen it? Because I've only heard about it. Brad kind of shrugged. No, man, I've only heard about it. I always thought it was bullshit. Jake laughed, punched him back in the shoulder. Yeah, me too. But it's really weird. Like, I've only heard a couple stories. Like, I thought people are making stuff up, so I'm not entirely sure. Is it getting closer? He said, squinting out to the distance. Yeah, I think so. Huh. What do you... Hey, bro, why don't we, then point, kind of like looks over his shoulder at a kayak. Jake was like, well, you want to take the kayak out there? Yeah, Brad said. Jake's like, are you nuts? Look how far out that thing is, man. It'd be fine, Jake said. All right, I mean, dude, if we drown, man, I'm coming back and I'm gonna bring you back to life and kill you again. All right, man, whatever. Come on, let's go. As they turned and ran towards the kayak, Jake looked over towards where the ship was on the horizon. God, that looks like it's like a couple miles out, Jake said. Yeah, man, it's fine. It's close enough. We could get there, Brad said. Here, help me with this. He grabbed a rope attached to the front of the kayak and tossed it at Brad. Jake grabbed it, and both Brad and Jake started pulling it towards the water. Man, these things are heavier than I thought. I haven't used one in a while, Brad said. Jake was like, yeah, me either. I'm not really big on. I don't really go out in the water much. As they got the boat in the water, they tucked the rope inside the kayak. Jake climbed in first, then Brad climbed in behind him. They reached down to grab the paddle. They each had a paddle on both sides, and so grabbing a paddle, they both started to paddle towards it. How far do you think that is? Jake said. Brad's like, I don't fucking know. As they began paddling, they got like quite a ways out. They glanced back like, damn, we're quite a ways away from the shore. It'll be fine, Brad said. Don't worry, man. Don't be a pussy. Oh, shut up, man, Jake said. As they get closer to the ship, their eyes grow as big as saucers. Holy shit, Brad said. Yeah, man, Jake said. Like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? What, you mean what looks like a fucking old ass, like, is that Victorian style? Like, is this like a ghost ship? I would think a pirate ship, man, the way this looks. No shit, Jake said. Here, help me with, here, let's, there's a like a little rope ladder over here, looks like. Hold on. They maneuvered over towards the rope ladder. What are we gonna tie the kayak off on? Well, the rope's long enough. Why don't we'll just toss it up, and we'll tie it somewhere. We'll see if we can find somewhere on the side of the ship to tie it to, or whatever. Or we can tie it to the rope ladder. I don't care. Oh, all right, man. So Jake carefully stood up in the kayak, grabbed the rope ladder, started pulling himself up. Wait for me, man, Jake said, climbing up behind him. They get up to the top of the ladder and climb on deck. As they look around, they see what looks to be an older style wooden ship. Very fancy, bright and colorful. Even had random decorations up on what looked like probably the bridge. Is that what? Jake said. Brad looked over and goes, I think that's a sail. Like that mast right there. I think that's for a sail. Like, you think this is like a sailing ship, not like motorized or whatever? Shit, man. I haven't seen one of, like, all these, like, quote unquote sailboats that I've seen in my life are just like these little ones, they like look like yachts or whatever that rich people take out. Yeah, you ain't lying, man. I haven't seen too much of those either. All right. So Jake and Brad started walking around the ship. Walked all the way to the front, kind of peered over the front. Jake looked at Brad. Is it just me, or does this ship not even feel like it's moving? Like, it's just literally, like, sitting in this spot, whatever. Like, you would think it would be, like, drifting or whatever, but doesn't even, I don't even feel any kind of current or anything. Brad was like, yeah, you're right, man. It's really weird. And, he peers over towards where they traveled from. I can't even see the shore from here. Fuck. Jake looks up. Oh, it'll be fine, man. Literally straight that way. As he points off to the direction they came from. How can you tell? Like, I can't see the shore from here, man. It'll be fine, Brad said. It'll be fine. All right. So they, hey, let's, I don't even think there's anybody here, Jake said. Brad looks over at him like, you think this ship is entirely empty? Like, nobody's here? I don't know. Let's go check. All right, man. Why don't we, should we split up? Do you want to split up? Not particularly. Yeah, but probably a good idea if we stick together, because, I mean, we don't know what's out around here. Jake kind of looked over at him like, yeah, I can just totally, I mean, who knows? I wouldn't want you to get in trouble and, like, maybe somewhere in a different part of the ship, and all of a sudden I hear a high-pitched scream and be like, hey, are you okay? Fuck you, man, he said, punching his arm. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. Jeez. Besides, if anybody screamed like a girl, man, it'd probably be you. Oh, shut the fuck up. All right. Anyway, man, Jake said, I see a door over here. Let's go ahead and go inside and see what we can find. Yep, sounds good, Brad said. As they start making their way down the stairs, they realize they get to a corridor and see there's actually another flight of stairs that actually goes up. That's weird. We just came from outside. Where could that staircase go to? I don't know. Let's check it out, Brad said. Climbing the staircase, they noticed, like, lots of very old paintings, pictures of people hanging on the walls. Like, damn, for as old as this ship looks, Brad said. Jake kind of cut him off. It's not very dirty or broken down or, like, run down at all, looks like. Yeah, man. Hey, here's a door up here, Jake said as they continued up the stairs. Brad walked up to the door and tried the knob. Oh, hey, it's unlocked. Jake stopped it for a second. Hold on, man, hold on. Brad's like, what? Should we knock? What do you mean, should we knock? I mean, like, I don't want to just go into a room if there's someone in there. Like, Brad looked at him. Bro, like, we haven't seen anybody. You really think there's someone in there? Jake's like, I don't know. They stepped back for a minute and looked at the door. Look at the fucking door, man. Yeah, it's like, this is some fancy shit. Like, that door, like, solid wood, has all these intricate designs around the outside of it. Like, that looks like a fan. Like, this ship is giving me rich people vibes, except old, like a couple 100-year-old rich people vibes. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking, Jake said. All right, man, whatever. Let's go in. Brad grabbed the handle and opened the door. As the door opened up, inside was a room without window, or without too many windows. Had one window, and it looked like it was located towards facing the front of the ship. And in this room, all around both sides, were random, what looked like newer technology. Check this out, man, Brad said, walking over. Like, what the hell is all this doing on here? Like, this looks like a couple 100-year-old ship, and yet this has, like, this looks like a computer, like a couple computers over here. And look at this, as he walks across the room to look at something else. Like, There's another computer screen over here, has some weird, I don't even know what that is, he said, pointing at the screen. Jake walks over and looks like, yeah, man, that looks like some kind of, like some text, like some language or something, but it's nothing I've ever seen. It doesn't even look like another like language that we've heard of, like Japanese or Spanish or anything. It's like a bunch of symbols or whatever. Yeah, man. They walked over to another part of the room, and over here it's got this little looks like a digital map, and it has like this little green dot over here, he said, pointing off at the corner, that has like a couple of these random figures all around that whole screen, and then it has like a couple more dots over here, like these dots right here, like, you know, he said, pointing at the first one, like there's this red dot, but then on that dot, you look at those, he said, pointing in the middle of that dot. It says, look, there's two little dots in that circle right there. I didn't even notice that, Brad said. Jake was like, yeah, you know, but then look over here, he says, pointing off to the other side of that what looks to be a screen. There's like two other little dots over here, but they're not inside of any kind of circle like these over here. You think these are us? He said, pointing at the big circle with the two little dots in it. I mean, I have no idea, Brad said. Dude, I don't. Jake kind of stepped back a little, running his hand through his hair and thinking for a second. Brad looked over to be okay, man. Jake's like, at this point, man, I just want to get back home, but like, why the hell did we paddle out here, man? Now we're fucking lost. Brad's like, chill out, man, we're fine. Like, the shore can't be that far that way and stuff. It'll be fine. So, Jake said as he took a couple steps back to the screen, he kind of pointed over at the other side where the two small dots by themselves. He goes, look over here. It's like there's this like a weird line dividing up one side of the screen where these two dots are from the other side of the screen that what I think where we possibly are, unless we're the two dots by themselves over here. I don't know. Maybe we're not even any of the dots. Brad's like, dude, you're kind of making my head spin. Jake's like, my fucking head spinning, man. The fuck? They both turn around as like the electronics on the other side of the room started chiming a bunch of noises. They both run over there and they see screen flashing. Red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black. And he's like, Brad's like, I have no idea what that means, but I don't think it's good. Jake's like, I have no idea. And then went from red, black, to a green screen, and a new symbol that looked like some fancy characters that kind of look like numbers, but at the same time they didn't. So it looked like it was a foreign language. Flashed across the screen, and then flash red, black again, and all of a sudden they felt a little bit of a rumble in the floor, and they felt a little bit of a shift, as it felt like the ship started moving. Brad fell off to the side, caught himself on one of the nearby panels. Jake tripped and fell on the floor. What the fuck? Brad's like, are we fucking moving? I don't know, man. I don't know. They felt a very quick jerking motion, and through the window they saw a flash of lights, and then after a minute or two, the ship jerked in a way that both Brad and Jake ended up on the floor, feeling like they were pressed down to the floor. Dude, I can't move, Brad said. Me either, man, Jake said. What's going on? I don't know, man, Brad said. All of a sudden, they felt another shift, and it was like they came to an abrupt stop. Brad and Jake found themselves rolling across the floor and slamming into the wall. Oh, fuck, Jake said. Oh, man, that fucking hurt, Brad said. What the hell was that? I don't know, Jake said. I don't know. Dude, I'm going to go back. I'm going to try to find my way back up top. You know, I felt like we moved, but what the hell, man? I've never felt I've never been on a ship, but I don't think they move like that. Yeah, I don't think so either, Jake said. Hold on, let's go up there. They left the room and went back down the flight of stairs and went to the first flight of stairs, made their way up to the top deck. As they came outside, they were initially blinded by the light. What the fuck? Jake said, looking up to the sky a little bit. Oh man, my eyes, Brad said. What the hell? Wasn't it? It was like midday. What the fuck? They look up and they see that there's a different color for the sunshine that they're experiencing. Instead of the usual bright and sunny day, this was where they were now. They were still on open water, no view of land anywhere to be seen. But the sunshine shining on them was more of a red glow, like an orange red glow. Both Brad and Jake shielded their eyes with their hands and walked over to the side of the ship, kind of looking off or whatever, looking down at the water and trying to see if they can see anything. Hey, dude, didn't we tie the kayak over here? Yeah, is it not there yet, or is it not still there? No, Jake said. Like, it was right there on that ladder. Fuck. All right, hold on, relax, man. It'll be fine. Oi! A little help over here? Yeah, seriously. Anybody? The hell is that? Brad said. I don't know. It sounded like it came from the back of the ship. Jake and Brad ran all the way to the back of the ship and looked back there. In the water, they saw what looked like two girls swimming in the water, dog paddling. Dude, am I seeing things, or are there two chicks in the water? Brad said. No, you're not seeing things, man. There's two chicks in the water. Hey, you guys okay? Jake hollered out. Can you get us out of here? Please? Yeah, we're practically drowning here. Please, mates? Yeah, hold on, Brad said. Dude, let's see if we can find something to throw out to him. Yeah, Jake said, looking around. Here, over here. They found a long buoy, or a big round buoy tied to a long white rope. You think this will work? I don't even know what this is, man. This doesn't look like any kind of buoy that I've ever seen before, or like a life raft or anything. It just looks like it would float, but might at least be something that we can throw out to them and pull them in or whatever. Yeah, let's do it. Here, we're gonna throw you guys something. Jake hollered out. All right, hurry up. Jake took a few steps back, and then tossed tossed the preserver or whatever it was as far out as it could, putting it out near them. Grab it, we'll pull you in, Brad said. Okay. They both dog paddled over to the floating device and grabbed hold of it. All right, man, hold on tight. We're gonna pull you in. All right, man, help me out with this, Brad said. Yep, gotcha. All right, let's go. Between the two of them, they started pulling on the rope and pulling the two people in. They got them over towards the ship, like, hey, hold on, we're gonna maneuver you guys over this way, because there's actually a ladder, like a rope ladder or something over here. That's how we got on. Okay. Here, help me out, man. Yeah, I gotcha, Jake said. So they maneuver them around the back of the ship, and then pull them 100 feet or so over to where the ladder is. Now, I can't pull you guys up, but like you need to reach up and grab that ladder and climb out. All right. They hear down there. Thanks, mate. The other one hollered up. Yeah, no worries, Jake said. Hurry up, get up here so you guys are safe. As Jake and Brad stood there and waited, these two ladies, both of them wearing what looked like full gowns, dresses that looked like they were from a different time period, came climbing down onto the deck. One of them had a bonnet still tied to her head, and the other one was wearing white gloves. It looked like they just come out of a British movie of some kind. Brad looked over at Jake and was like, hey bro, are you seeing this? Jake's like, hey ladies, well, first things first, I'm Jake, he said, reaching a hand out. Nice to meet you. My name is Megan. The one with the wearing the hat reached out and took his hand. Jake noticed though that she didn't take his hand and shake it like he expected. She took his hand and then kind of waited, like put her hand in his and waited like she expected him to do something. And he was and he raised her hand to his lips, kissed her hand, and that nice to meet you. And then the other lady, and I'm Lizzie. What are you two boys doing up here? She reached a hand out to Jake. Jake took her hand and kissed it as well. Nice to meet you two. This is Brad. How did we'll answer your questions, but how? And Megan cut him off. How do we get in the water? Yeah, Brad said, looking at her because we aren't anywhere near anywhere, so we're just curious, what you two lovely ladies were doing down there. Megan sighed, put a hand to her face. I don't know. Me and Lizzie, we were literally just out enjoying our afternoon tea, and looking over looking out at the water, and she said, sighing, covered her face in her hands. Lizzie put a hand on Megan's shoulder. There, dear. There. She looks back at Jake and Brad. We were looking out at the water, and next thing we know, there's this flash, and we were falling. Brad said. Jake kind of looks over at Brad, both of them wondering the same thing. What do you mean falling? That's exactly what I mean, Megan said. Falling. Like, it's like 1 minute we're in these chairs, sipping our tea, just relaxing, and next thing you know, like, it's like we're in the middle, we're like midair, free falling, and we ended up falling into the water right over there, and we didn't know, like, we didn't know what was going on. It was terrifying. It it was definitely terrifying. Lizzie said, patting Megan on the shoulder. But where did you guys come from? She said, looking over at Jake and Brad. What do you mean? Brad said. Well, because when we landed in the water, there was nothing here, and then there's no, then there was another flash, and like it blinded us to the point where we couldn't see while we're trying to swim without having our dresses basically pull us under. But when we could see again, the ship was in front of us. Oh, really? Brad said. That's kind of weird. So let me get this straight, Jake said. You for sure you guys were having afternoon tea, and then you were falling. You ended up in the water, and nobody was here. But then there's another flash, and then you ended up that we were here. That sounds about right, Megan said. Brad looked over at Jake. Dibble shrugged. Man, I have no idea, Brad said. Jake looks over to me. Well, I have one question, though. What's that, dear? Megan said. For you guys, where's here? Huh? What are you talking about? Lizzie said, kind of raising an eyebrow at him. Well, like, where are you guys from? Brad said. Well, the UK, of course. Silly. Where are we from? Megan said, looking over him. Well, I'm assuming we're from the same place you guys are. I mean, otherwise, how would you be here? Ma'am, we're from like the United States. Like, we were on the East Coast, just on a beach, and we saw this ship, like, kind of like off in the distance. We heard rumors about a ship like this kind of showing up one day a year, but we, being stupid like we were, he said, looking over at Brad. Brad just kind of grinned at him. Dude, it's not like it wasn't just my idea, man. Yeah, whatever, Jake said. But, we had the stupid idea to take a kayak out to it, and a kayak? Megan said, looking over at Lizzie. Yeah, what's a kayak? Lizzie said. What do you mean, what's a kayak? Brad said. You guys don't have kayaks where you're from? No. Lizzie said. Like, okay, now, how do you not know what a kayak is? I don't know, Megan said. Okay, so I hold on, man, Brad said. What, dude? Now, I'm really curious, but this might be, I don't know why I'm thinking this. This might be a stupid question. Spit it out, man, Jake said. What year is it? What year is it? Megan said. Did you hear them? Lizzie laughed with her. Yeah, come on, guys. Why are you... Obviously, it's it's 1798. What? Jake said, looking over Brad. Bro, I think these chicks are on something. I don't know, man, Brad said. Because look at the ship. Yeah, what about it? Brad said, or Jake said. Well, it's old as hell. I mean, at least most of it is old as hell. But then look at like their dresses. Like you don't see women wearing dresses like that too often now. So hold on, Jake said. So you're telling me you ladies are from a couple hundred years ago? What? Megan said. Lizzie kind of took a step back, her jaw hanging out, her jaw hanging wide open. Okay, guys, like seriously, what do you mean? Like, what do y'all mean that we're from a couple hundred years ago? Lizzie said. Yeah, like that's the silliest nonsense I've ever heard, Megan said. Well, okay, well, like, you want to know where we're from? Well, you already said you guys are from, like, the East Coast, the United States? Lizzie and Maggie kind of looked at each other, kind of like with a confused look. We're not really familiar with that. I don't know where that is. Brad looked over at Jake, kind of like with a look on his face. Jake looked at Brad, and he knew exactly what he was thinking. What do you mean you don't know where the United States is? Well, I don't know where that is, dear, Megan said. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so maybe, Brad said, looking over at Jake. Like, oh man, my head is spinning. Brad was like, yeah. So maybe what they're saying is the truth, man. Are you serious? Jake said. Well, I mean, like, look what they're wearing. Look what he said, motioning over to the girls. Look at the ship, he said, turning around and motioning, like waving his hand as a big grand gesture at all the ship. And they said it was like 1792. Jake and Brad looked at each other for a minute, and then they looked back at the ladies. I mean, I guess, okay, so, well, wait a minute, Megan said. What happened to you, what went on with you guys before we showed up? Like, what happened to you guys? Well, we were in one of the rooms, Brad started, and Jake intervened. Yeah, and like there's all this newer technology, and 1 minute we're in this room, and there's looks like these computers. Megan looked at him, kind of confused. Jake looked over, like, "Oh, I mean, okay, so we'll explain later, but." But basically, they're these newer technology that you ladies probably aren't familiar with yet. Jake started. Megan and Lizzie both nodded. Okay. Jake continued. They were looking at all these different things that were coming up on the screens, and next thing we know, we felt a shift. We felt like the ship moves. It moved so fast that both Brad and I ended up on the floor. Oh, dearie me, Megan said. Oh, that sounds just frightful, Lizzie said. Brad and Jake kind of looked at each other. What's so funny? Megan said. Oh, nothing. No, Jake said. It's just the way you guys talk. I mean, no offense. It's just we haven't heard anyone speak like that. like ever. But Megan said. Jake's like, oh no, I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, um, so we felt the ship move, and it was such a sudden jolt that both Brad and I ended up on the floor. And then there's a bright flash of light that came through the window, and then next thing you know, we came back out here to check to see, to look around, and like the light out here was different. What do you mean the light was different out here? Megan said. Brad was like, yeah, like compared to like what the sun normally looks like. Suddenly he was like, it's this. He points up to the sun. Look at all like dark red. Like it looks like that now, but it didn't look like that before. Huh. I didn't even think about that, Megan said, looking over at Lizzie. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I guess we were too busy trying not to drown out there. I mean, it makes sense, Brad said. Because, I mean, look what y'all are wearing, he said, motioning a hand at them. What's that supposed to mean, Megan said. No, nothing. I'm just like, those dresses, I mean, they're amazing. Don't get me wrong. You guys are so hot. We're hot? I mean, I guess because these dresses are pretty warm, I guess. Lizzie said, no, never mind, Brad said. Never mind. But I mean, what I'm saying, you guys look amazing. Jake's like, yeah, totally amazing. But what my friend Brad here is trying to say, Jake said, is that we were surprised that you guys were able to swim with those dresses, because we figured something like that would probably pull you under. Oh, okay, I see. I think I understand, Megan said, looking over at Lizzie. Yeah, and I mean, it was really hard to swim in these, but it's not like we had anything we didn't really have time to change. She said, kind of looking over at Megan and kind of grinning. Oh, I know, like, yeah, we had so much time from when we were sitting at the table to when we're in the water. It's like, we had so much time. They both chuckled. Brad's like, am I missing something? Jake's like, dude, they're saying that they were one minute at the table, the next minute in the water. That's why they didn't have time to change. Oh, okay, I got you, bro. I got you. So anyway, so Brad continued. So yeah, we came out here, and then we heard you guys holler for help, and we the rest is history. Like, you guys know the rest, but only thing I can't figure out is where our kayak went. Megan looked over. Your what? Oh, your kayak. What is a kayak again? I've never in my life ever heard of such a thing. It just sounds dreadful. Lizzie was like, man, absolutely. Brad and Jake looked at each other and kind of grinned. Megan kind of put her hands on her hips. What are you two grinning about? Oh, nothing, Jake. It's just the way you guys talk. No worries. Don't worry about it. It's just, but a kayak is kind of like a boat, but really small. So they got like 2 seats, and 2 people get into it. They have this long stick that has these paddle things on the end, and they basically can paddle around in the water. What? Lizzie said. Looks over at Megan. Megan's like, that just sounds dreadful. Oh, it's not too bad, Brad says. Yeah, it just takes a little getting used to, Jake said. But the only problem is, like, we paddle out here, we tied it to that rope we just came up, and then whenever everything switched, and we are somewhere else now, I'm thinking, or when else? Looks over at Brad. It's like, Brad just kind of shrugs. Your guess is as good as mine, man. Because, like, they say they're from 1792. We're from the 2000s. From the 2000s. The 2020s. And yet, we both ended up in the same water, but it looks different from where we both were. Like, we have different sun. Like, the sun looks different out here. I pretty much got everything. Jake was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Well, what do you guys think it means? Megan said. Well, I don't know. But I know I want to get home. Yeah, me too, Jake said. But where is home? Brad said. Looked over at Jake, and he looked at Megan and Lizzie. Well, don't ask us. Like we don't even know where here is. Lizzie said. All right, well here, let's come here, guys, or come here, ladies. Let's we want to show you what we're talking about, because obviously, like, trying to explain it, I don't know if we could really explain it very well. So Brad and Jake started leading them back to that doorway, went down the flight of stairs, down the corridor, and then up the other flight of stairs to that fancy wooden door. As Brad went to reach for the handle, Lizzie grabbed his hand. Wait, should we knock? Jake laughed. No, don't worry. Nope. We have not seen one person on the ship since we got here. Are you serious? Lizzie said that. Man, I'm. This place just sounds. The ship just sounds dreadful. Ladies, it'll be fine. Hold on. Brad said, grabbing the handle and opening the door. Here, come here. As they walked into the room, they shut the door behind them. Both Lizzie and Megan put hands to their faces and like, oh, what is this? This is the place we were talking to you about, Brad said. This is the, almost looks like a control room. A what? Megan said. What's a control room? Well, it's like, for in the future, when there's newer technology and stuff, ships, like airplanes, Lizzie said. Never mind, Brad said. But yeah, like ships like this, or they sometimes will have like a control room where somebody's in there controlling where it's going, kind of like a captain. Oh, okay, I see, Megan said. Oh, yeah, it makes sense, Lizzie said. So, we think that's what this place is, kind of a control room, but there's nobody here. So we're not sure how it's being controlled. Because being that nobody's here, Brad continued, when we were in here before and it moved or something happened, we ended up in a different place. Nobody was here. It just, like, those computers over there. The what? Megan said. Like, these over here, Brad said as he walked over and kind of pointed at one of the screens. Megan walked over and looked at what he was pointing at. Oh, dearie me, like, what is that? That's the computer thing I was telling you about. Like, in the future, we have these electronics, these devices that are electronic. They have electricity, and they're kind of, they're computers. They basically can kind of. He said, looking over at Jake. Dude, I don't even know how to explain it, man. I sucked at, like, I'm not very good at computers in general, like, but trying to explain them. Yeah, man, all right. So, Jake points at the screens again. So basically these, and I'm going to try to use language, hopefully I can describe them appropriately to you guys. That way you guys, maybe you ladies will understand, but, I apologize if you don't. I'm doing my best. All right, Megan said. Just tell us. Yes, please, Lizzie said. So Jake started. So these devices over here, he points at one of the screens, and then kind of like, and these over here, he walks to the other side of the room and points at another screen. Like this one over here, before we moved or whatever, it just kind of, it was flashing red, black, and then after it did that for a minute or two, it flashed green for like about a minute or two, and then started going red, black again, and all of a sudden that's when everything shifted, and we felt ourselves fly across the room and hit the floor or whatever. Oh, dearie me, Megan said. Are you guys okay? Like, that sounds like it hurt. Oh, yeah, it sucked, Brad said. Brett rubbing the side of his head. That floor was not very fun to land on. Oh, poor boys, Lizzie said. Brad and Jake looked at each other and kind of chuckled. Yeah, we're okay. We're fine. So, oh wait, Jake said. What, man? Jake ran across the room and pointed at one of the screens. I forgot what this one over here that had the two dots. Oh yeah, that's right, Brad said, coming over to join him. Look now, like the dots are different now, man. Look, that big circle that had the two dots before, now it has four dots on that bigger circle, and the other side doesn't have anybody or any dots. It has that weird symbol, little line or whatever that is in the middle, just kind of dividing the two sections. Oh, I didn't even notice that. What does that mean, Megan said? Like, what are you guys talking about? I am so confused, Lizzie said. I mean, first we're talking about computers? What? Computers, Brad said. Yeah, that. What in heaven's name is that? We kind of, like I said, we're trying to explain it to you, Jake said. Like this right here, he said, motioning to the screen. We think this is a computer of some kind. We don't know because we don't recognize it. It's not something that we've ever seen. Not a kind of computer that we've had in our time or whatever. You know, God, I feel nuts even saying that. Brad's like, yeah, I hear you, man. But it's probably the truth because I feel like being that we're from 2020 and they say they're from 1793 or 92. Was it 92 or 93? 1792, Megan said. Like, this all feels like some kind of story that's just been made up, Megan said. Like, how can you guys be from 2020? And that's like, what? That's like 200 and like 30 years in the future? Like, you're telling me that you're from the future? Well, we could say the same thing. You're telling us you're from the past? Brad said. Good heavens, Lizzie said. I don't know what we're trying to say, Megan said. Because, like I said, we're out enjoying our afternoon tea. They hadn't even brought our crumpets. She looks over at Lizzie. I was looking forward to the crumpets. Lizzie's like, oh yeah, me too. Look, crumpets are amazing. Jake and Brad looked over each other and grinned again. Like, wow, okay, they really are from the 1700s. You know, Brad goes, I don't know, maybe they do crumpets current, like at our time over there in the UK. They probably do. Jake's like, yeah, you're probably right. Okay, like, over here, guys. Megan said, like, what do we, like, so... Will you please just explain to us, again, you know, we're trying to understand, but Brad's like, just calm down, ladies, calm down. It'll be okay, but so, points at the screen again. So we think, he points at the circle with the four dots now in the middle. We think, and I don't know if this is right, he says, looking over at Jake. Jake nods at him. But we think, he continues, that big circle is the ship. And the four dots are the four of us. Well, why do you think that? Megan said. Yeah, that's just silly, Lizzie said. Brad looks over at them and points at the dot. Well, because initially, before we met you guys, or you ladies, that big circle had two dots. And then over on this far side, there were two dots in this big wide open area over here. We think that was you. And then now that big circle has four dots and there's no dots over the other side. We think those two dots, each of those dots represents one of us. I'm so confused, Lizzie said. So what do we do? Well, first, like, I think we should explore the ship and figure out, like like see what's here, see if there's anybody else on here, figure out if we can find out like where we are, figure out when we are, what's going on. I don't know about you, he said, motioning to his three companions. But like, I want to get out of here. I want to get back home. Like, I don't want to be stuck wherever we are on this ship. Well, you guys said that you guys were waiting on some crumpets or whatever, right? Brad said. Oh, crumpets, Megan said. Yeah. Lizzie patted her stomach. Oh, I'm so hungry. Well, here's an idea, Jake said. Why don't we explore the ship and let's try to see if we can find some place. Maybe, the ship, they have to have like a kitchen somewhere that has food. Maybe we could find something to eat. Oh, that sounds delightful, Megan said. Truly delightful, Lizzie said. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, bro. Brad said, looking over at Jake. Let's all right, come on, let's go, guys. So the four of them left the room, started down the flight of steps, and they got to that corridor that they first walked down. They walked a little ways down the hall, and they realized there's a couple other hallways to go down. So what do you think we should do, Brad said? Do you think we should split up and look around the ship and then meet back up here in a little while? Like, I don't know, bro. Brad said. Like, I don't know if splitting up would be a good idea. Well, why not, man? Jake said. There's nobody here. Like, what's going to happen? I don't know. We get lost, never find our way back here. Brad said, chuckling. All right, man. Well, how about this? We won't split up, but we'll go down. We'll all go down the same corridor, but then like as we're going down there, we're checking out rooms. Like we might split up slightly just to kind of like check out little rooms, but not really getting too far away from each other. How about that, man? Jake said. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. What do you think, ladies? I guess, Megan said. I mean, yeah, I guess that sounds okay, Lizzie said. All right, let's go. So they walk down that corridor. How about we go down here? Brad says, pointing down the hallway. All right, lead the way, boys. Megan says. So they start walking down the hall, and they come to the first couple of rooms, and first thing they notice, these rooms still have fancy wooden doors. Not quite as fancy as what they deemed the control room. All right, so just like stand back. I'm gonna open this door really quick. Jake said. Be careful. Megan said. Yeah. All right, here goes. Jake said, turning the knob and pushing the door open. As the door swung open, they peered inside what looked like to be a very ornate, very fancy stateroom. There was a bed off to one corner that had a very fancy headboard and footboard. There was a wooden desk right beside the bed. And there was what looked like to be a bureau off in the other corner. Jake kind of looked at his three companions, like, all right, I'm gonna go check it out. Hold on, I'll be right back. Be careful, man. Brad said. Jake goes in the room and kind of like goes and sits on the bed, and then walks over to the armoire and opens it. Sees it. There's a bunch of clothes hanging in the armoire. He pulls out one of the hangers and kind of holds it up and goes, "Wow, get a load of this." Brad walks in the room and comes over. He's like, "Dude, that looks fucking old." Language, boys, Megan said. "Oh, sorry," Brad said. "But it looks freaking old." Lizzie looks over at Megan. I don't know what freaking means, but I mean, yeah. How does it look old? That looks like it's like brand new. Oh, right. Brad said, yeah. So, do you guys have clothes like this in your time? I'm like, my head is still spinning when you say when you say that, because I can't believe that the idea we're working with here is that we're from different times. But yes, Megan says, pointing at the long coat. That looks like it's from where it's from the same place that we are, or the same time. I've actually helped. Heavens, I mean, the other day I actually saw a fine gentleman, like an older gentleman, very nice guy, I think too. Like he looked like somebody I knew, but he was wearing something that looked like that. Oh, really? Jake said. Oh, yes, Megan said. Huh, okay, so we have what looks to be an old ship, and there's older clothes in the little closet, whatever. And then we, and yet nobody's here. Jake walked over to a nearby window and looked out, putting his hand to his head and thinking, "What are you thinking, bro?" Brad said, "I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm. It's like, I think we should explore more, obviously, but yeah, let's go check out some other stuff, because I still feel like I don't know what's happening." All of a sudden, they felt a rumble in the ship, and they could hear beeping. Beep 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 beep, echoing from down the hall. "What the hell is that?" Brad said. "Oh shit, I don't know, man. Where's that god-awful noise coming from?" Lizzie said. "Heavens! My ears!" Megan said. "Hold on, guys. I think let's go back to the control room and see if something's going on up there." The four of them took off down the hallway, running back up the stairs, going back in the control room. And as they got in there, they could see the one screen was flashing again. Red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black. "Oh man, I think it's happening again. You think we're moving again?" Brad said, looking over at Jake. "Yeah, but I don't know, man." All of a sudden, the screen flashed green. It felt a rumble and a big shift, and all four of them were taken off their feet, flying across the room, landing on the floor. Jake landed one corner. Brad landed a couple feet away from him, and Megan landed on top of Brad, and Lizzie landed on the floor a few feet away in between them. Oh man, heavens, that hurt. Lizzie got up from the floor. "Oh, that hurt. What happened?" But the ship shifted again, and having just got back to her feet, she fell to the floor again, and all of them rolled across the floor. They look up and saw a bright flash in the window again. "Oh, my eyes, how dreadful," Megan said. "I can't see," Lizzie said. "Oh my god, bro," Brad said, looking over, covering his eyes and looking over towards Jake. After a few moments, which felt like an eternity, but only lasted a few seconds, the movement, the rumbling, and the loud noise and the bright lights faded, and everything was calm again. Jake pulls himself to his feet, looks down at Megan, still laying on the floor. He extends his hand down. "Can I help you up?" Why are you such a gentleman? Thank you," Megan says, taking his hand and letting Jake help her to her feet. Brad dragged himself to his feet and comes over to Lizzie. "Here, let me help you up," he says, bending down to take her by the hands. "Oh, thank you, dear." They stand up with Megan and Lizzie bending down to brush off their dresses. Oh, I really wish we could change, Megan said. Yeah, me too, Lizzie said. I mean, it's possible, I guess, Brad said. Why, whatever do you mean? Megan said. Well, we already found one, like, we looked in one room and found some clothes. I mean, maybe we could find something that you ladies would be a little more comfortable in that, you know. Oh, that sounds lovely, Megan said. Hopefully. So, all right, so after experiencing what we did before, Jake started. Brad kind of cut him off. You think we should go back up to the deck and see if things look different again, huh? Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, Jake said. All right, let's go, ladies. Let's go. And they kind of started going back down the stairs and then back up the other flight of stairs going out to the main deck. As they got outside, they realized they weren't on the water. As they stepped outside, they felt a very strong gust of wind hitting them, and they couldn't see anything around them. Jake's like, what the fuck? Runs over to the side of the ship. Oh my god, bro, you gotta see this. What? Brad said. Comes over and they're like, holy shit. Hey ladies, come here. Is it safe? Megan said. Yeah, I'm a little bit scared, Lizzie said. Yeah, it's fine. Just like they got a handrail or a guardrail over here, so we're not like as long as you stay on this side, we're fine. We'll be safe. We'll take care. We'll protect you. Brad said. So Megan and Lizzie both looked at each other and hesitantly came over to join them. They get over to the railing, and they're looking out, and their ship appears to be airborne. They're looking down, and all they could see down below them, a couple 100 feet down, is like vast deserts, some mountains, a couple of streams off in the distance, a lake off one side, off one direction. Okay, I have no clue where the hell we are, Brad said. You and me both, man. Megan looks over at Brad and Jake and goes, or when? Jake and Brad kind of laugh and look at each other. Yeah, she's right, bro. Because, whoa, what is that? They said, looking off one direction. As I see, like a big shadow moving off in the distance. What is that? Brad said. Oh, dude, I don't know. Shh, quiet, man, quiet. Let's listen. What? You hear something? Brad said. Megan all of a sudden gasps. What? They said. Then they look back towards the shadow again, as they can see a big shape materializing off in the distance, coming in their direction. Is that fucking dinosaur? Brad said. Jake like it can't be. Oh my god. Lizzie said, like, where are we? Bro. Brad said, looking at Jake. Yeah, man, what? As they both like stood there, mouths hanging open, staring at this big shape coming towards where they were. How did we? So, okay, this is gonna sound stupid, Brad said. It can't sound any stupider than what we're seeing, man. Jake said. Okay, so here's what I'm here's what I'm thinking. What are you laughing about? Megan said. I'm sorry. Brad said. I laugh when I get nervous. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Megan said. So what were you saying? Well, again, I think we're on a time ship. A time ship? Jake said, looking over at him. What is that? Lizzie said, well, I mean, because, again, like, you guys are from a time when you wouldn't have had that, but did you have books? Oh, yeah, of course, silly, Megan said. Do we have books? Lizzie said, looking over at Megan. Yeah, come on, guys, don't be silly. Okay, Brad said, well, in any of your books, do you have books that are kind of like have stories about being in different times? Well, yeah, actually, we do. I've seen a couple of them, you know. Yeah, I love to read, Lizzie said. I've read a couple books about being in different times or whatever. Never about being on a ship or a vessel or whatever this is. But yeah, we have books like that. Okay, all right, Brad said. Well, just imagine that what you read in those books, that's us now. That like somehow this ship, he said, turning around and motioning with his hand, that this ship is somehow traveling through time, and we're back way, way back in time. Like how far back? Megan said. Like prehistoric. Like that's a dinosaur down there. Oh, dearie, Megan said. The four of them went back to the railing again and peered down. Jake looks over at Brad. Well, at least he can't get us from up here, right? I hope not, unless T-Rexes can fly. Brad said, looking over at him. T-Rexes? Megan said, yeah, that's what kind of dinosaur that is. You guys don't have anything in your time talking about dinosaurs? I'm not sure, Megan said. I mean, maybe. I mean, I know I've never read anything about them. Yeah, I don't think I've read anything about them either, Lizzie said. Okay, well, dinosaurs, like, are from way, way back, like, early periods of the Earth or whatever. Brad said, looking over at Jake. Yeah, like millions of years back. Like, you guys are 200-something years earlier than us. That guy down there, and they looked off in the distance and saw another big shadow approaching. And that, whatever that beast is over there, are from millions of years ago. But yet we're here, so they both paused and just stared down at the vast jungle, wilderness, vast landscape, watching these two creatures come their direction. Okay, so how are we gonna get home? Brad said, asking Jake. I don't fucking know, man. Like, this whole... Like, I don't even know how much time's passed, because it's still sunny out, and, like, we feel like we've been on the ship for hours, but we've shifted a couple times. Beep! 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 Oh, crap. Hey, guys, come on, let's get back to the control room, because I think something's happening. Why can't we stay out here, Jake said. Brad paused as he was running towards the door. Well, I don't know, but if it throws us, if we fly across the room in there, he says, pausing and then looking at Jake with like a serious look. Jake goes, oh, so if we fly across the room in there, if we're out here when it shifts, we might end up off the ship. Oh dear, Megan said. Lizzie looks over. Oh yeah, I vote we go back in the, what'd you call it, the control room? Because I think at least as we're on the ship, I think we're at least safe up here. That's my thought, Brad said. Let's go. All right, bro, all right, let's go. Following you. The four of them ran back down the flight of stairs and then up the stairs back to the control room. As they got in, of course, the familiar flashing on the screens. Red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black. Hey, it's just a thought while it's doing whatever it's doing, wherever it's taking us. I have an idea, Brad said. What, dear? Megan said. Here, come over here. Megan and Lizzie followed Brad across the room, and he sat down with his back to a wall. What are you doing? Megan said. Yeah, what are you doing down there? Guys, trust me, just sit down here. Jake, get over here. Okay, bro. Like, I'm kind of confused too. Just trust me. They all sat down with their backs to the wall. They could still see the color from the screen flashing on the other end. Red, black, red, black, red, black, green. Felt a rumble in the ship, and all of a sudden they felt the movement, and Brad looks over at his three companions. Out, guys, put your head firmly against the wall. Just trust me. Oh, okay. Jake says. Oh, all right. Megan says and looks over at Lizzie. They felt the shift, and they felt their whole bodies kind of shift as if they would have flown across the room, but instead they just kind of slid a little bit to the side from where they were sitting. And then after a couple minutes, felt like forever, all of a sudden there's a bright flash in the window again, and the screen went dark again. Jake looks over at Brad. Bro, that was a good idea, man, because, like, we've already been thrown across a room, like, what, 3 times now? 2 times? I don't even fucking know now. So, I vote whatever that is happens. I think we should do what you just had us do. I think we should sit down over here, so that way we're safe, and hopefully we don't fly across the room, because one of these times we'll probably get hurt. Brad looked over and like, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, man. That was a good idea. Megan says. Truly, Lizzie says. So they get back up. They go back down the stairs, back up the other flight of stairs, and they go back out to the main deck again. As they walk out, they realize they're in a they're on the water again, but they're in a little body of water now. Looks like they're actually on a lake. Brad runs over to one of the handrails, looks off. And bro, I think I see like a house over there, or some couple houses, but they actually look really old, to be honest. What do you mean? Jake says, running over. Oh yeah, you're right, he says. Off in the distance, they could see what looked like some very basic, small wooden cabins, just sitting on dirt. Nothing fancy around them. No fancy structures. Lizzie comes running over. What are those? I think those are homes. Brad says. Okay, well, what time do you think we're at now? Jake says. Lizzie comes running over. Like, so, yeah, I was wondering what time, like, I guess the question would be, when do you think we are now, guys? Jake said, I'm not sure. I wish we could control this ship. I just feel like it's just bouncing us all around time, and yet, like, anyone else worried about not getting home at this point? I'm a little bit nervous, bro. Brad said. I'm terrified. Megan said. Hey, I'm very scared too. Lizzie said. Like, all right, I know this is kind of not the greatest time, but can we please go try to find something to eat? Lizzie says. Oh yeah. Brad says, looking over at Jake. Let's do it. Let's go explore some more and see if we can. I don't. He looks off towards the houses. I don't even see anybody over there. Even if there were, I don't know how we'd get to them. Because, like, the ship's not moving across the water. It literally, whenever we've shifted, it seems to just be stationary. And I don't know, are we observers? Jake said. I don't know, maybe, bro. Brad said. Anyway, guys, can we please go eat? Lizzie said. Yeah, let's go. So they make their way back down the stairs and go down the corridor again, and then take that first hallway again. Well, we've already looked in here. Actually, hold on, I have an idea. They go back in that first room again. He opens the armoire again and starts flipping through the clothes that are hanging. Ladies, come in here really quick. Like none of these clothes look like anything that I'm familiar with, but if they're from your time period, maybe maybe you can find something that might be a little bit more comfortable than your dresses. That sounds marvelous, Megan said, coming over. Lizzie came in the room and made her way over to room 2. Brad stepped back. They started looking through the clothes, and they pulled out a couple of hangers that actually had some what looked like dress pants for like a women's pantsuit. They looked at it kind of funny, like Brad kind of looked over at Jake and looked back at Megan. What is it? Like, what's the deal? Megan said, well, we, like, only where we're from, women are pretty much always in dresses. But I mean, the men wear pants. Brad's like, you ladies have never worn pants? Lizzie's like, no, never. Jake's like, well, I mean, there's no harm in it right now. Like, just pick something, pick anything out of here that would be comfortable, like, you know, a shirt, you know, pants. Might have to wear the shoes you're wearing. I mean, you would look pretty funny with those shoes with any of these clothes, but I don't see shoes in here. So Megan's like, yeah, you're probably right. Okay, here, Lizzie, let's pick out some clothes. Can you guys give us some privacy, please? Oh, of course, Brad said. Here, Jake, let's go. They went out of the room and closed the door. Stood outside talking. Brad looks over at Jake as they're standing outside the door. So, bro, this is some fucked up shit, huh? You're right, man. Jake says, like, I'm trying to think what we need to come up with a plan, because, like, we have to get back home. Like, obviously, like, I don't think we're ever gonna get home at this rate. Like, we're never, like, just waiting for this ship to travel, to shift whatever it's doing. I don't know. One, I don't know how we would even know if we were back at our time. Brad's like, oh, you know what? I didn't think about that. You're right. Because unless we appeared back where the ship was when we kayaked to it, then I don't know if we'd recognize it. Jake's like, yeah, you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So, I mean, maybe we'll find, maybe there's more than just that controller. Maybe there is someone somewhere on the ship or something that can kind of help us to figure out, one, where we are, and two, maybe how to control the ship to get back to where we want to go, or where we need to go. Brad's like, yeah, sounds good. So basically, we should just keep exploring and see what we can find, huh? Jake turned and knocked on the door. Just a second, Megan said, calling him. All right, just checking on you guys. All right, you can come in. Lizzie hollers out. Jake and Brad open the door and come in. You guys all set up? You guys all ready to go? Oh, wow. Brad says. What? Megan says, looking over at her. You ladies look amazing. Yeah, truly, Jake says. Really? Megan says, looking at the pants and the shirt she put on, and looking over at Lizzie. You really think so? Yeah, totally, Jake says. This feels really weird, Lizzie said. Man, wearing pants. It's just Brad kind of laughs. It's okay. You know, I know putting it into words is probably difficult. Lizzie's like, yeah, you got that right. So what's the plan? Megan says. Jake looks over at Brad, then back at Megan again. Well, we were thinking, like obviously food first, right? Well, yeah, Megan said. Okay, so food first, wherever the hell that is. Brad says. Well, of course, Jake. Of course, Jake says. You know, since we have no idea where anything is on the ship, we've only explored a little bit. But so anyway, food first, and then Brad and I were thinking. Obviously, we should just because obviously our goal is to get back home, and so we should explore the ship and see what we could find. Maybe there's something here that we're missing, like, you know, because obviously, like, right now we're just shifting between different time periods and ending up at different locations, and I don't know if we'll ever get home that way. There's got to be something here that you know, we could use something, like, unless we're just stuck on the ship forever and we're just bouncing around between different time periods. I don't know about you guys, but that just sounds like hell. Brad said, chiming in. Exactly, Jake said. So, like, since you ladies are all changed out, why don't we go try first? Let's go try to find where the kitchen is or whatever. See if we can find some food. See what the food situation on the ship even is, because hopefully, if we're bouncing around for a while, I worry about us starving too. And Megan gasped. I don't want to starve, Lizzie said. So relax, girls, relax. Jake said. It'll be fine. That's why I said that let's take it one problem at a time. And you know, first we'll go find the kitchen first, see what the food situation is, see if we at least have enough food. Obviously, like, there's places to sleep, there's bathrooms in here, whatever. But we'll go find the food situation, and then we'll start exploring and see if we can find if there's something on the ship that'll help us. Maybe there's a way to control the ship so we can try to get back to our own time. That sounds like a good idea, Megan said. Yeah, bro, that's pretty good. All right, you know, Jake said. So let's. So you guys have, like, I almost asked you guys if you have everything you need, but obviously you just had you didn't have any purses or whatever with you. You were just literally in the water with your in your dresses or whatever. So yeah, pretty much, Megan said. So let's go, guys. Let's go. So they all left the room, started to walk down the hallway and check out other rooms on the way. Just a bedroom right here, looks like, Brad said. Yeah, over here, another bedroom too, Jake said. Hey, guys, I think I found the kitchen, Megan hollered a little further down the hallway. Oh, sweet, Jake said. They get down there and come into this door. Very ornate, solid oak. Lots of fancy designs on it, similar to the control room. They go inside, and literally there's, like, some fancy tables, a counter, and everything is covered with fancy tablecloths. There's flowers on the tables, placemats set up, multiple sets of silverware. Jake walks over to one of the tables and goes, is there a reason why there's 5 forks on this table, on this placemat? Because what the hell? Like, how many fucking forks does one need? Megan laughed and looked over at Lindsay. He's so funny. Jake looks over at Brad and goes, why are we funny? Lizzie chuckles. Because, sweetie, like, where you guys are from, do you guys not have, like, I guess you guys don't have like proper eating etiquette or whatever. Jake laughs and goes, "What the hell are you talking about?" Megan laughs and looks over at Lizzie, and then looks back at Jake. Well, boys, like for proper etiquette, you start on the outside, work your way in, and you like start with like salad forks, and you dessert forks, main course forks. It's a whole thing. Brad looks over at Jake and looks back at Megan and goes, Brad's versus, you mean like a partial thing? And chuckles, and of course, Jake walks over to Brad and they fist bump. Megan and Lizzie look at each other, kind of dumbfounded, and they look back at Jake and Brad, and they both are like, what? What are you guys looking at us like that for? Megan and Lizzie look at each other again and look back at Jake and Brad, and they kind of grin. They're like, y'all are silly. Like, you boys are, I don't even have words for you guys. Well, we're just totally giving you crap, Jake says. I'm sorry. So basically, start on the outside, work your way in. Okay, I got it. But okay, well, we apparently have plenty of silverware. Let's check the actual kitchen, see what we have. They go back in the kitchen and they start looking around. On the counter, they can see they have a couple of teapots. Oh my goodness! What? Jake said. Tea! Megan said. Lizzie, look! Oh dear! Running over excited. Megan touched the teapot. Oh my gosh! Oh my lord! Lizzie said. What is it? Jake said. It's hot. What do you mean it's hot? Brad said, coming over. Holy shit, bro, she's right. This teapot is hot. How is that possible? Jake said. I don't fucking know. Oh my gosh, Lizzie said. Crumpets! Are you shitting me? Jake said. Yeah, crumpets over here. And then we have biscuits over here. And there's jam and oh my. Huh, Jake said. It almost feels like the ship back from your period has stuff from your period as well. That's what it looks like, or at least from our period and from our part of the world. Huh. So that's interesting. So, what should we do? Brad said. Well, I'm just gonna dig through some of these cabinets, see what they got. They look over, and Lizzie and Megan were already munching on the crumpets and having some tea. I don't know if I want crumpets, man, Brad said. Yeah, me either. I'll see if they have anything else back here. They looked in, a couple areas of the kitchen, and they found. Oh, look! It looks like there's actually that's weird, for having stuff from the, UK or Britain or wherever these ladies are from. Looks like they also have. Look at there's a fridge back here, bro. Really? Brad said. What's a fridge? Megan said. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you guys, well, fridge is it's a big thing that keeps things cold. Like you're probably about 200 years from when they actually invent them. Huh? Interesting. Lizzie said. Jake opened the fridge and was like, "Holy shit, bro! There's some burgers in here, man. Like, I wonder." He looks around and are you fucking shitting me? Jake says. What? Brad says. There's a fucking microwave back here, man. A micro what? Lizzie says. A microwave. Never mind. it's another thing that'll be invented in the future that you guys won't know about for a while, but basically you heat up food. Heat up food, okay. That's weird, Megan said. See, watch. Grabs one of the burgers out of the fridge. Let's see. Jake starts looking at one of the cabinets. Oh, yep. Look at that. They, for having some modern food, they also have paper plates up here. Paper plates? Megan says. Brad kind of laughs. Just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Megan and Lizzie both look at each other and like, okay, they keep eating their crumpets and drinking their tea. So Jake puts he's like, you want a burger, bro? The hell yeah, man, I'm starving. Jake puts the burgers on a plate, pops them in the microwave, and hits a button. It's like 60 seconds ought to do it. Megan and Lizzie come over with their crumpets and kind of stare at the microwave as the timer ticks down. That's interesting, Megan says. Lizzie's like, truly. I've never seen anything like that. Jake's like, and you probably never will after we get us all home, because it won't be invented for about 200 years. Brad's like, bro, hold on a second. How the hell is there a microwave on here and clothes from their time period, and the ship obviously being from that time period, but yet there's some of the newer stuff like a microwave and a fridge. I have no idea, Jake said. Ding! Oh, cool, they're done, man. Here. Pulled the burgers out of the microwave, handed Brad his burger. Lizzie and Megan just kind of like kept eating their crumpets, but stared at them wide-eyed as they pulled the burger out. There's like, Megan walks over, tries to put a hand on the burger to feel it. Jake kind of slaps her hand away. What are you doing? I was just trying to. I don't know. Did it really come out of that box hot? Yeah. But don't touch my food, man. Okay, sorry, Megan said, going back to where Lizzie was standing. Oh my god, this is fucking delicious, bro, Brad said. Oh my god, this is hitting the spot, Jake said, wolfing down the burger. Looks back at the fridge. Oh, okay, do you ladies have canned beverages in your time period? Canned beverages? I don't think so. We have bottles. Like, we have glass bottles, with some drinks or whatever. Well, they got those too. Here, I don't know what this is. Like a brown beverage bottle. As best I can describe it. Doesn't have any labels on it, but here you go. Okay. Helped her pop the top off it, whatever. She takes a sip. Wow, that's actually really good. Kind of bubbly. I don't think I've ever tasted anything like it. You want one, Lizzie? Yeah, please. Brad walks over and hands her one too. Oh my god, that's delicious. I don't think we have anything like this. Like, we have bottle stuff, but I don't think we have anything that tastes like this. All right, guys. Well, let's finish up having some, eating our food or whatever. Let's see what we can. Let's see what we can find. So they finish their food, and they start making their way down the hall again. And they hear a buzzing sound coming from down the hall. What the hell is that? Jake said. I don't know, Brad said. Lizzie and Megan just kind of looked at them and shrugged. Well, let's go check it out. All right, sounds like a plan, Brad said. Let's go. So they go down the hall, and they realize it's down another flight of stairs. So they go down there, following the sound. As they get closer, all they keep hearing. Sounds like a fucking buzzing sound, doesn't it, Brad? Yeah, it sure does, man. They get down the hall, and they approach where it's coming from, there's a one of the doors that they assume is a bedroom door. But as they approach it, there's a bright blue light coming from under the door. Bro, Brad said. I see it, Jake said. We're not going in there, are we? Megan said. Do you want to get home? Fine, Megan said. But let's be careful, please, guys, because it's only the four of us. I don't want anything to happen to any of us. All right, Jake said. Should we knock? Brad said. Do you want to knock? Jake replied. Not really, Brad said. All right, well, on the count of three, we're just going to open the door, all right? Oh, I'm so scared, Megan said. It's going to be all right. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Just stand back. Stand behind me, whatever. Jake slowly turned the knob and flung the door open. Inside, all of a sudden, they saw a bright blue glowing figure in the middle of the room. The figure looked very much like a human, but its features were a little bit off. Ears were a little bit bigger, nose were a little bit too big, had long hair, and looked like it was wearing goggles. Brad and Jake both kind of looked at each other. And then they looked over at Megan and Lizzie. And they, without saying anything, they kind of turned back towards the figure in the room and stepped a couple steps into the room. As they got somewhat closer to the figure in the room, all of a sudden the figure, having just been standing there looking off to the side and not actually doing anything, all of a sudden snapped to attention and looked at them. All four of the companions froze. Welcome aboard, the figure said. My name is Al. I am your host here on this amazing vessel. I'm so glad you four found your way down here to me. Brad said. Hey, Al, Jake said. Megan said, looking over at Lizzie, they're looking back at the figure. Don't be afraid, Al said. I am not from either of your time periods. Neither is this vessel. Yeah, we kind of figured, Jake said. Now, can you tell us how to get home? Absolutely. What you guys have to do is you each have to take a turn at I know you guys have seen the control room already. Yeah, we did, Jake said. Okay. On the one side of the room, the figure said, and I'm motioning off to one side of the room they're in as if the control panel was over in that room. The one screen where you remember seeing the dots. Yeah, Brad said. What about them? Well, on that screen, basically what you do is you literally press in certain spots on that screen, and then you put your entire hand flat on a certain part of the screen, and it activates it for the shift, for the vessel to do another shift to another time and location. All four of you have to do this at least once, and then the next two locations will be the time periods and locations where each of you came from. Oh, okay, Brad said. So we've already shifted a few times. Those don't count, I guess, right? That is correct, sir. That is correct, Al says. So aside from that, it's very simple. Basically, what this vessel is it just literally travels from different points in time and space to different points in time and space. As you guys have seen, it flies as well, or hover, or not really flies, but can be on the water or in the air. But in order for you guys to go home, anybody that we've ever picked up, we take them around the universe, around the different time frames, and they only go home once they found their way down to me, and I'm able to give them the instructions I'm giving you now. Oh, okay, Brad says, looking over at Jake. And so that's all we have to do. We just have, so we go up there and we each take turns. Like, can you show us how we do what you just described on the screen upstairs? Absolutely, Al said. Turns and he motions with his hands, and all of a sudden, a digital image of what looks like the panel shows up in front of him. Holy shit, Jake says, jumping back. Whoa, Brad says, kind of like taking a few steps back. Oh my gosh, Megan says, as she stumbles backwards a little bit. Relax, everybody. Have no fear, have no fear. It's totally safe. Nothing on this ship will harm you. Okay, Megan says, stepping back closer to Alwyn. So, observe. And he goes over to hovers over to the screen. Appeared to hover over to the screen because they didn't see his legs move. He just kind of glided that direction. And he takes his hands and he presses in the left corner, presses in the bottom left corner, presses a little spot in the middle of the screen, and then he takes his whole right hand and he places it over the spot where the big circle with the 4 dots are. Did you guys see that? Do I need to repeat that? Al says. I think I got it, Jake says. Brad looks over. Yeah, are you sure, man? Because I don't like. Okay, well maybe show us again, Jake says. Okay, very well. Touches the left corner, touches the bottom corner, touches in the middle of the screen, and then puts his right hand on the spot where the big circle with the little dots are. Okay, I think I understand. Jake says. I think I got it. Did you ladies see that? Yeah, I think I'm good. Like we saw it the first time. Megan says. Well, I mean, we're not quite as smart as you guys, obviously. Brad says. Well, duh. Obviously, you got your boys. Lizzie says. She looks over and grinned at Brad and Jake as they're just like staring at them with their mouths hanging open. Wow. Okay, you guys really are chicks. You guys really are. Ladies, aren't you? Better than us, I guess. No, we're not. We're just giving you a hard time. Megan says. All right. So, sir, do we have to do anything else, or is that it? Nope. My dear fellows, that is all you have to do. You just do what I just showed you there, and after each one of you does it, you'll travel to a new location. Obviously go outside, explore if you want to, but otherwise, simply come back in here in the control room, and the next person does their thing. You go to a new location, and then after all 4 of you do it, then there will be the ship will automatically go to one of your locations first, and then once first 2 are dropped off, then it will automatically go to the second location and return the other 2 home as well. Huh, okay, Jake said. Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you, Megan says. Thanks so much, Lizzie says. Yep, we appreciate it. All right, guys, let's go. Absolutely, Al says. So, remember, if you need any more help, come back down here, and I'll do what I can to answer you. Well, I'm kind of curious, Jake says. Yes, what's up? Like, what is your question, son? Like, why are you stuck to this room, or are you able to go throughout the ship? No, this is basically where this is my, you could say my home base, kind of. I don't go anywhere else in the ship. I'm literally right here, and anybody that needs my assistance, they come to me. Oh, okay, Jake says. That makes sense. All right, well, thank you, Al. You're very welcome. Bye. Megan and Lizzie say as they exit out of the room. So the four of them exit the room and make their way down the hall back to the stairs again. They make their way up the stairs and go down the hall again and go up the other flight of stairs to the control room. And as they go into the room, they all look at each other. All right, so who wants to go first? Jake said. I'll go. Megan says. Are you sure? Brad said. Well, I mean, all four of us have to go, is what he said, right? Yeah, pretty much, Brad said. All right, let's do this. Megan says as she walks over. She's like, all right, so left corner said touch in the left corner. Bottom left corner says touch in the bottom left corner. And then touch in the middle. She says that she touches her finger in the middle of the screen. And then she puts her right hand over the big circle with the four dots. All of a sudden, the ship starts to rumble, and they start seeing the flash of light through the window. Guys, over here, hurry up! Jake says as he runs over to the wall and sits down. Oh yeah, you're right. Come on, girls. Brad says, grabbing Megan by the hand and pulling her. Megan, of course, reaches over and grabs Lizzie's hand and pulls her along. They all four go sit down with the wall, put their heads against the wall like they did before. They feel the familiar, a violent jerk as the ship shifts to another time period. After a couple of minutes, they get up, they go outside and look around. And when they come outside, they realize, like, it's really dark out here. They look around and it's like Brad and Jake look at each other and they look around. They're like, I don't know if I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing. What do you mean, bro? Brad said. Well, these look like stars, but how could I don't even know what. I'm so baffled. Jake said. You think we're in space? Brad said. Yeah, man, that's kind of what it looks like. How the hell could we be in space? Jake said. I don't know, Brad said, looking around. Lizzie and Megan both look at each other and they look back at them like, what are you boys talking about? It's really pretty up here. Don't you girls understand? Like, I think we're up in space, but how is that possible? Like, we shouldn't be able to breathe out here. I don't know, maybe the ship, because of its magical properties or something, bro? Jake says, well, yeah, maybe you're right, Brad said. So they look around. It's like, all right, well, it's like, well, I don't know what else we could do right here. You guys ready to go do the next one? You know, like, quicker we get these done, the quicker we could all get home, right? Yeah, you're right. Megan said. Who wants to go next? Here, well, let's go back to the control room. Jake said as they took off back downstairs again. Coming in the control room, they looked at each other. It's like, all right, so you went last time, right, Megan? Yep, that was me. All right, so all right, Brad, you're up, I guess. You know, Jake looks over. Me? Okay, I guess. So let's see. Walks over to the screen. Goes, all right, left corner, bottom left corner. the middle, and then he puts his hand on the circle with the 4 dots. They feel the rumble, and all of a sudden, hey guys, over here, let's go. Jake says, runs over to the wall again. They all sit down and brace as the ship shudders again. There's a bright flash outside the window, and a couple minutes later, they're back to normal again. All right, let's go up and check it out, see where we're at now. They go up outside, they look around, and they realize that they're hovering in midair, a couple hundred feet off the ground, but they're looking around and they're seeing nothing but sand, and they see pyramids off in the distance. Holy shit, man, Jake says, looking over at Brad. I know, man. I think those are were you in Egypt? Like back in the time of the pharaohs and whatnot? Because I see like the pyramids over there. Yeah, look over here, man. They points down. What is that? What do you see? Megan says. There, you can even see there's people down there on like carriages or whatever that are pulling brick and stuff around. Oh my gosh! So we're like, when was that? Megan says. I don't know, a couple thousand years ago, I think. Brad says. All right. Well, I mean, I love to keep looking around, but I want to get home. So like, Jake, you're up next. Let's go. All right. So they run back into the control room, and Megan, Lizzie, and Brad go over and go ahead and sit by the wall, preemptively waiting for Jake to do his thing. Jake goes over there. All right, left corner, bottom left corner, middle, and then puts his hand on the circle, and ship starts shuddering again, and he runs over and sits with the other 3 people. Shutters, bright flash in the room. They feel the entire ship shift. Holy crap! What? Man, what's going on? You feel that? All of a sudden, the ship, which kind of was doing a humming and a little bit of a vibrating at that time, all of a sudden violently shifted. And even though they were sitting next to the wall, the 3 of them fell off to the side. All of them kind of one on top of the other. What the hell? Brad said. Man, that didn't do that before. Why? What was different that time? I don't fucking know. Jake said. So, all right. So let's go check it out. Let's see what's going on now. So they go up outside, and when they get up there, they're walking around on the deck, and they're hearing what sounds like explosions nearby. Cling! What the hell is that? Brad says, looking around. I don't know, man. Hold on. As they're they're walking towards the back, and all of a sudden they hear cling, and they see something ricochet off the side of the ship near them. They all duck down really quick. What the hell was that? So they crawled over to the guardrail on the side of the ship, and they peeked over, and they saw a bunch of what looked to be soldiers in colonial dress, and soldiers in red coats firing back and forth. And they were hovering. The ship was hovering a couple hundred feet off the ground again. And as they heard another fire, and they felt something hit the ship. Who's firing at us? Brad said, looking around. They looked down to see a couple of the soldiers that, for whatever reason, were looking right up at them and were loading their muskets and firing up at them. Why are they shooting at us? Jake said. I don't know. Maybe they're scared, Brad. Jake said. So, all right, all right. So, Lizzie, you're the only one up that we have to do, right? You're the only one left that has to take a turn right before we can get home. Yeah, I think so. Lizzie said. Oh shit! They hit the ground again as another bullet Another musket ball ricocheted off the side of the ship. All right, we got to go because we're gonna get shot up here. They ran back downstairs. But before they did, Jake looked over the side and saw one of the soldiers turning the cannon towards their direction. All right, guys, we really have to go because they're gonna fucking shoot a cannon at us. All right. What's a cannon? Lizzie said, I can't explain that to you right now. Like, I know you guys I know you should be familiar with cannons where you're from, but I don't know. But let's go. That's not gonna, I can't tell you that. I can't explain that to you right now. Okay. All right, sounds good, Megan said. Megan said. So they rush, they hurry back down the stairs, go up the other flight of stairs. They go go in the big fancy door again, and they get into the control room. And all right, Lizzie, you're up. Brad, Jake, and Megan go back. They go over to the wall to go ahead and sit down. Megan goes over to the control panel. All right, so what was it again? Megan hollers out, left corner, bottom corner, middle, hand. Oh, right, Lizzie says. Okay, so left corner, bottom corner, middle. And then she turns and she goes to, as she goes to put her hand on the circle, they hear an explosion outside. And the ship shifts a little bit, and Megan falls on her side on the floor. Ow! Megan's like, "Are you okay?" Ow! What was that? I don't know. I think they fired something at us. Hurry up! Lizzie gets back up, runs over to the panel, and puts her hand on the circle, and nothing happens. Nothing's happening. Well, maybe because you stopped. Maybe you got to do the sequence again. Oh, right. Okay. Lizzie says, "Oh, let me try this. Left corner, bottom corner, middle." And then she puts her hand on the circle, and all of a sudden the ship vibrates and rumbles. And she runs over and sits down with them. And a couple minutes later, after the ship does a couple violet shifts, there's a big flash in the room, and then everything's quiet again. All right, let's go up and see where we're at now, Jake says. So they go upstairs to go on deck, and as they're walking around, they realize that this world doesn't even look like Earth anymore. Like they're on a red planet. There's dust flying everywhere. No living creatures anywhere. Where the hell are we? Jake said. Brad looks at him and goes, do you really want to know what I'm thinking, bro? Well, yeah, I wouldn't have asked otherwise, Jake said. Well, Brad's like, I think we're on Mars. Mars? Megan said, looking over at him. Yeah. Okay, this is kind of weird. All right. Well, so that's okay. So what do we do now? Like we've all four of us have taken a turn. So what do we do? All of a sudden, beep, beep, beep. What the hell is that? Brad said. I'm not sure. And then of course, as if they're hearing a voice in their head, they hear the being from downstairs all of a sudden talking in their heads. Hello, this is Al. You need to be in the control room when the beeping stops. Otherwise, all four of you will be stranded where you are currently. Jake and Brad will look at each other kind of with a look of like shock on their face. Did you fucking hear that too? Yeah, man. Oh my god, what was that? Megan said, looking over at Lizzie and then looking over at Jake and Brad. I think that was Al. Beep. Beep. Hurry up, guys. He said we had to be in the control room when the beeping stops. Beep. They run down the stairs. As they're coming back up the stairs towards the control room. Beep. Beep. Beep, 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 beep. Hurry up, guys. I think it's getting faster because it's going to stop soon. Hurry up, Brad said. As they literally get in the room and they go to close the door. Beep, 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 beep. And it beeping stops right as they shut the door. Oh my gosh, Jake says. All right, so what now? All of a sudden the screen beside them starts flashing. Red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black. All right, here we go, I think, Brad said. So red, black, green. Ship starts shuddering. And hurry, guys, let's go sit over here. They go sit by the wall, brace themselves again. The ship shudders, and there's a bright flash and a very violent shift, making them all flop on each other again. Oh my God, not again, Jake says. Oh man, that hurt. Suddenly the vibrations stop and the bright lights stop flashing. All right, let's see where we're at. So they get back up. They go back up to the deck and they walk outside, and the ship is in the water in the UK, just offshore from where Megan and Lizzie were eating crumpets and having tea. Oh my God, we're home, Lizzie said. Oh wow, but how do we get over there? They go over and they go look at where the rope ladder is, and they see that there is a little rowboat just beside the vessel, sitting right beside the rope, as if it was tied there, but yet it wasn't tied to anything. It was literally just sitting there. So they're like, okay, that's kind of weird, Brad says, but hey, you guys want to go home, so just be careful. Well, will we ever see you guys again? Lizzie says. I don't think so, Jake says. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think so, Brad says, but it's been fun. We've never met anybody like you guys, and honestly, we're gonna remember this for the rest of our life. Man, I'm really gonna miss you, Megan says. What day is it even? I'm not sure, but wait a minute, bro. We have our phones on us. Have you even looked at your phone this whole time? What do you mean your phones? Megan says, looking over him. How do you have a phone on you? Those are way too big. How can you? And Brad pulls his cell phone out of his pocket. No, this is our phone. Megan incredulously looks at Brad, looks over at Lizzie, looks over at Jake, looks back at Brad, and her jaw drops. That's a phone. Yeah, Brad said, this is a phone. That's not a phone. Lizzie goes, yeah, that's totally not a phone. And Brad's like, no, seriously, it's a phone. But he powers up his phone, but of course it says no signal. And Jake kind of laughs, goes, well, I mean, that would make sense, because if we're in their time, they don't have cell phones back here, so we wouldn't have a signal. But it should still say the day on it, I would think. So Brad powers up his phone and he looks at it and goes, well, what day was it when we rowed out to the ship? On that kayak? It was Tuesday. Bro, Brad says. Jake's like, what? Brad shows him his phone. He goes, are you shitting me? Lizzie's like, what? What are you guys talking about? Brad looks at his phone again and goes, it says today is Saturday. How are we gone for 4 days? What? 4 days? Well, I mean, now it's at least for us. You guys came on after we did, so maybe it's less for you guys, but yeah, so somehow we were gone for 4 days in all those places we went to. But anyway, we want to get home too, so why don't you guys go ahead and I mean, we're really gonna miss you guys. Beep, beep, shit. Jake says, yeah, guys, go. You need to go. They gave each other hugs. Really don't want to say goodbye, Lizzie said. I know. I mean, just take care of yourselves, and have a good life. You know, I wish we could say we'll come back and see you. Beep, beep. Lizzie and Megan hurried up, climbed down the rope ladder, and got to the rowboat and started rowing away from the ship. Beep, beep. Hurry up, man. We got to go, Jake said, like grabbing Brad by the shoulder and dragging him along. All right, I'm coming. Let's go. Beep, beep. They run down the stairs and they round the corner to go up the stairs. Beep, 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 beep. Shit, man, hurry up. It's going to stop. Beep, 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 beep. As they shut the door, just as the last beep stops. Did we make it? Jake says. Oh, I think so, Brad says, but I don't know. Stood there for a few minutes, wondering what was going on, wondering if they made it in time or if they're going to be stuck in their time period. All of a sudden, the ship starts to shudder again, and the screen starts flashing. Red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black. Here we go, man, here we go. They go and sit down on the far wall, putting their knees up to their chest and their head against the wall to try to brace. Red, black, red, black, red, black, green. Big bright flash in the room. Whole ship shudders. They feel a vibration and they feel the very violent shift, which they again fall on each other. Ah, fuck, Jake says. I don't know, sorry, man. Brad says, pulling himself off. Ship shudders for a few more minutes and a couple more bright flashes, and then everything goes quiet. You think we're back? Brad says, looking over at Jake. I don't know, man. I think. Let's go check. Let's go take a look. So they go back upstairs. They walk out on deck, and immediately right away they walk over to the railing, and they look out in the direction that they on the side of the ship that they came up on, and they can see the beach that they were throwing the football on earlier. Bro, you see what I'm seeing? Jake says. Holy crap, man! I think we're home. But hold on a second. Let's see. They go over and look at the rope ladder on the side of the ship, and they see their kayak just casually just sitting in the water right next to the ship, not tied to anything and not moving anywhere, just sitting next to the ship in the water. Hey, our kayak's back, man. Oh, sweet. Well, Jake hollers out, Al, I don't know if you can hear us, but thank you for getting us home. They start to climb down the ladder, and in their heads, they hear, you are very welcome, lads. Thank you for traveling with me, and have a blessed and safe life. They stop climbing down the ladder, and they look at each other like, did you hear that too, bro? Jake's like, yeah, I did. That was, I know I shouldn't be scared, but that's pretty freaky when he talks in our head like that. Beep. They start hearing, oh, crap. Hurry up, man. They climb down the ladder, and as they're getting in the kayak, and they're grabbing their, they're hearing the beeping getting faster. Beep, 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 beep. And they get in the kayak. They use their paddles, and they push off from the side of the ship. Beep, 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 beep. And it stops, and the ship vanishes right in front of them. All of a sudden, they're in wide open water. No sight of any ship anywhere close. They just sit there staring off into space where the ship used to be, and looking back and forth from the water to each other, and then back to the water again. And Jake all of a sudden smacks himself in the face and looks over at Brad and then slaps him in the face. And of course, Brad's like, ow, what the fuck did you do that for? Okay, man, Jake says, we like, I'm freaking out too, but I think can we get out of here? Like, I want to go home. Like, I'm a little freaked out the fact that, where'd it go? I don't know, Brad said. But yeah, you're right. Let's get the hell out of here, man. Let's get the hell out of here. So they turn the kayak around and paddle for the shore. They get to the beach. They pull their kayak onto the beach, and they walk back up the beach and kind of sit down on the beach and just stare off into the water again. And in their different times, Jake and Brad and Megan and Lizzie lived happy the rest of their lives, but still wondered what happened to the other two in their party. But from that day on, the Chronicles of the time ship and the mysterious vessel itself were never spotted again on that beach. Lizzie and Megan and Jake and Brad went back to their homes, and even though they tried to tell people what happened, tried to explain why they were gone for a couple of days, even though for them it felt like it was only half a day, nobody believed them. So Jake and Brad went to the library to research some stuff and actually ended up finding a book that was written when they're in the sci-fi section. And Jake called Brad over all excited, like, "You're not going to believe what I just found, bro." He's like, "What?" So, he shows him. He's like, look at this book. And it literally says flying or traveling through time and space, lost and finding our way home. Chronicles of a Time Ship by Megan and Lizzie. Jake's like, is this what I think it is, bro? I think it is, Brad said. But I don't think anybody will still believe us at all, even if we show them this book, because I think Megan and Lizzie wrote this. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, they're just gonna say it's just we're just making shit up, and But I think we should read the book and see how. So of course they checked the book out. They read it, and it chronicled from the exact events that happened from the moment they all got on the ship to the moment they all went home. Leaving out, of course, what happened when Jake and Brad went home, since Megan and Lizzie went home first. But as they're reading it, they're literally like awestruck about the detail that went into it and remembering the details themselves. They felt like they were able to still connect with Megan and Lizzie through the gap in the time period, even though Megan and Lizzie were long gone by that point. So, going back home and going about their lives, Jake and Brad kept checking out that book because it helped them to feel connected to Megan and Lizzie. But they went about their lives and eventually wrote a book themselves. But in the end, all four companions ended up living long and happy lives and never experienced any more mysterious events in their life again. The end. Hey guys, welcome back. So, as always, appreciate you being here. Hope you guys like the story. I know that just like when I do freestyle stories, like as I got further into the story, I felt like it's always like I was telling my buddy Dave earlier, I actually had to split the story into two parts because I was recording it, and then like 2/3 of the way through, all of a sudden my phone went off, and it was him calling because I guess he's working. Today's technically right, because I'm literally just parked here at the hub getting ready to head back home now. but it's a Saturday morning, so of course I have tonight is my Friday, and then I'm off tomorrow. But I was like maybe halfway back to Lenexa, and of course then my phone goes off and it's Dave calling. I was like, oh, I guess you're working on Saturday, but popped on the call like, yo. I was like, dude, I didn't know if you're working tonight or not. And I kind of told him like, hey, I was actually recording the freestyle Storytime Friday episode. He's like, oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I was like, no, all good. I was like, my throat was kind of giving out a little bit, so I needed to take a break, drink some water, and whatnot. A lot of talking when you're doing these episodes, but hey, So, but and then of course he had to go when I dropped the trailer. Lenexa was bobtailing back, so I was like, well, fuck it, I might as well go ahead and try to get this story completed, so I don't like lose track of where I was. Tell half a story and then try to go back to it later and then forget where you're going with it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna try to avoid that because at least I had it currently fresh in my memory right now on where the story was. So, but then of course got here to the hub and I still had it was like 15-20 minutes sitting here in the truck while parked to get ready to head home, but I figured, well, let me go ahead and close this out. And like with any story, I was kind of telling Dave, I was like, how it is, like sometimes starting a story for me, it's the hardest part because I'm trying to think, all right, what do I want to tell a story about? And you got to figure out like character names, like what you want the story to be about, whatever. And then once you get started, and then it's like as you're starting to tell a story, then other ideas flow, and you kind of like the story just kind of grows and builds and whatever. So every time I do a freestyle story, I'm kind of like, I hope that sounded okay, because I know the last one I was worried because telling the story about the dangerous trip home, when I was telling it, I didn't feel very good about it, honestly. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be that great of a story, but then when I listened back to it, I was like, okay, that was not bad, because it's spontaneous, so it's like me just jumping out and be like, all right, let's go and let's do a story, So as me practicing and keeping, because you know how they say like use it or lose it. So it's like I figured starting to do these freestyle stories again, as well as writing some stories. Problem with the written stories is then I gotta find time to actually like at home to be able to like sit down and record them. I can't do that while I'm out here working versus like freestyle. I can technically do it while I'm on the move. So, but try to keep at it, because I figure the more stories I come up with, the easier future stories will be. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you're new to this podcast, welcome. Hopefully you come back every week and tune in. If you liked, whether you've been with me since the beginning or if you're new, if you like what you hear, feel free to like and follow, tell your friends. So we can grow this podcast, get more listeners. Anybody who wants to support the show, again, donations are very much welcome and very much appreciated. They definitely be very helpful as far as like making future plans for the show. Go to blodgettshow.com/support. Again, we're on social media on Instagram at Blodgett Show Podcast. You can find me on my personal Instagram, my personal accounts, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, T and Trucker Chris, X, it's CEAZ Freedom, and the blog, tandtruckerchris.wordpress.com. And of course, anybody who has, if you have stories that you want read on the show, again, please bear with, if you do send me stories, please bear with me as far as like getting them recorded and actually having them on the show, because that might take me a minute to, especially if they're like long stories, it might really take me a long time. But if it's like a 45-minute story, then I could probably get it done pretty easily. But I know a lot of mine that I end up writing end up being like 2.5, 3 hours long when I try to record them. So it's like, I try to shorten them down, but it's like, I do my best, but that's just how it ends up working out. But anybody, any writers out there, if you have creative stories and you want me to feature your story on the show, email them to me at blodgettshowpodcast@gmail.com. But on that note, very happy to, because I'm all about moving forward and stuff. So when I started recording this story, I was like, sometimes you got to force yourself to do something. You got to force yourself to move forward, take action, whatever. And I've been saying since we started the Storytime Friday episodes back up, I am trying my damnedest to not slack off. I'm trying my damnedest to stay a week ahead at least, if not 2 weeks ahead on the stories, so that way I don't get back in the position where I'm trying to record a Storytime Friday episode for this week and basically end up being lazy and not really feeling up to it, and end up having a week where we don't have a story. I'm trying to keep the stories coming for you every week, just like Roll Talk Tuesday every Tuesday, random topic, whatever. And whenever we get Raw Chat or the Keeping It Real segment recorded, you'll have those special episodes as well. But again, tell your friends, follow, 5-star reviews are definitely appreciated. BlodgettShow.com/support for any one-time or recurring donations. You guys can pick whatever, whether it's $1 or 5 or 10, 50, 100, whatever. Everything helps. It goes towards the maintenance cost of the show, as far as like the hosting. It'll go towards making other plans, like getting merch set up. I'll selling merch and whatever, getting a part of my the main website set up for that, so people can go and order stuff. It'll help towards getting some of the Storytime Friday volumes published, because I think I got a quote from one company that would help me with some of that stuff, because I have other books I've written as well that I've got to get published. But my priority would be stories from the Storytime Friday segment. But they quoted me like per book it'd be like 15 grand, but that would be like them, even if I had to use them for like ghostwriting, which I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. I already have stuff written. But that would be like them helping format, edit, get covers and get the cover designs and stuff, and then getting it published to a lot of different platforms, and then advertising it, to get the book out there. So I'm like, I know there's other services out there but they probably don't do as much, but the one I got that I'm like, well, I love to work with them, but again, 15 grand at least is what they quoted me. I wish it was like a package deal where it's like 20 grand for like 3 books, because I can do volume 1, 2, and 3 all at once, but I'm sure I think it's 15 grand per one book. If anybody has any other, like if you published a book before and you have a better route that you could recommend as far as like getting stuff, formatted, edited, and officially like out, getting it published and getting it out there for a lot cheaper, but still getting what you need, drop me an email, blodgettshowpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know. Would definitely love to hear from you. But on that note, you guys, you know what I always say: keep pushing forward, keep believing, believe you can, believe you will, and you're already halfway there. And then you just have to go out there and do it. We only fail if we quit, give up, and walk away. So as long as we continue getting back up, we continue making those efforts, we've never failed. We've only tried things that didn't work. It's like what they said with, I believe it was Thomas Edison with the light bulb. I think. Maybe I got that wrong. I think Edison was the light bulb. Yeah, because it was Bell for the phone, like Alexander Graham Bell or something. So Edison for the light bulb, I hope I'm getting that right. He didn't find 1,000 ways that didn't work. He just found 999 ways. Or he didn't fail 1,000 times. He found 1,000 ways that didn't work, and on the 1,001st attempt, he succeeded. So he hadn't failed. He just hadn't found all those ways that didn't work. So keep pushing forward and do what you gotta do. As long as it's like, I think it's Tony Robbins had made a comment on one of his podcasts or one of his shows or whatever, where it's like, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not moving forward, you're dying. So it's like, as long as you're, if your marriage isn't growing, if your health isn't growing, if your personal life, whatever, it's like, if you're not trying to always make things better, always make progress, then basically you're slowly, you know, on your way out. So we gotta keep going after the things we want. We gotta keep trying for the things that we're after. So me coming on here every week and doing at least the Real Talk Tuesday and the Storytime Fridays, this is me trying to practice what I preach. Because, you know, I'm guilty of it too, basically just getting in a funk where, like, mentally, you know, because we all have mental health issues. I get into a funk mentally where I literally am like, I don't want to do anything. I want to just sit around and do nothing. I want to enjoy my drinks. But then I'm like, but if I stop doing what I'm doing, then I'm going to have a hard time getting back at it again. So I am trying to keep at it, keep going. And any support anybody could provide, whether it's stories or it's financial donations on the site, would appreciate any and all assistance that you, my favorite listeners, could provide. But anyway, at the very least, come back on Tuesday when we have more episodes for you. And then next Friday again, we'll have another story. So anyway, guys, love you guys. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Believe me, people have tried. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep getting back up when people knock you down. Life hits you, knocks you down. Say you hit like a bitch and get back up. But thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for being a part of the show with me, and I will see you on the next one. You guys have a good one.